the gathering that it is enough barakah and blessings that we get to hear the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in it. We would say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam every time we hear his name ﷺ, otherwise we become among those who the Prophet ﷺ called the greedy one. Al-Bakhil, the greedy one, من إذا ذكرت عنده لم يصلي عليه. The one that when, if I'm mentioned his presence, he doesn't make salah on me. So it's a great blessing. I don't think there's anything better than being in the masjid, listening to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, saying sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And as we said, this is something to be needed to be revived in the ummah. This is something the early generations of Islam would do in the masajid. As the same as halaqat al-Quran, Quran circles, they used to also have circles of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, especially at times of fitan. Whenever there is a tribulation, a calamity, they would rush to the masajid and they would read Bukhari and Muslim. So this is means of a person would bring down the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on oneself when this is something that is revived in the masajid, in the homes and so on. And that's why I feel bad when I talk too much and less with the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. We should make sure that we say more of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. But because we're not talking about one subject, we're going from one hadith to the other, so it's not the regular lecture that you would expect, that we're talking about this one subject to that subject. So we would move from one thing to the other. Great benefits if we would focus and to have the patience, inshallah ta'ala. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the sincerity and to accept our deeds and to make us among those who receive the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the angels surround us and the tranquility descend upon us. We reach the chapter. He says, Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, Bab Ithmu man kadhaba ala nabiy sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ithm is the sin. The sin on the one that lies, ala nabiy sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, say a lie about the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam. And this is definitely a major sin. If a person would consider it halal, takes it outside the fold of Islam. If he says it's okay to lie about the Prophet ﷺ, to say lies and to relate it to the Prophet ﷺ, if a person believes that this is something part of our religion or it's a good thing to be done, this is kufr, of course. But if a person do it, whether intentionally out of ignorance or accidentally, and there are many cases that can happen, this is a sin, a major sin. So this is a very important subject and there are many hadith in it. Let's first see the hadith. He says, حدثنا علي بن جعد قال أخبرنا شعبة بن الحجاج قال أخبرني منصور بن المعتمر. He said, قال سمعت ربعي بن حراش. I heard ربعي بن حراش يقول سمعت عليا رضي الله عنه علي بن طالب رضي الله عنه يقول, he says, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تكذبوا علي فإنه من كذب علي فليلج النار. The Prophet ﷺ said, do not lie علي. You can help me, what's the best translation of this? لا تكذبوا علي. Do not lie against me. Do not lie about me. Right? Referring something and saying that the Prophet ﷺ said. Because in Arabic, right, a person might say, okay, the hadith says لا تكذبوا علي. But if a person says, if he made a lie to the Prophet ﷺ, right? Meaning, can a person lie about the Prophet ﷺ with the intention to support the deen or to get the people to follow the Prophet ﷺ? Is that permissible? Definitely not. It's a major sin. And that's why the ulama of the hadith, they always mention this. Even one of Imam Malik rahimahullah and others, Hibban rahimahullah, he said also the same statement. That he said that he didn't see from the salihin, from the righteous people, the most people that lied about the Prophet ﷺ are righteous people. You know, people when they lied about the Prophet ﷺ a long time ago, some of them intentionally they were doing that out of the evilness in themselves to deviate people from the truth. Right? As the Zanadiq, they were disbelievers and they would make up their own hadith, trying to take people away from the deen of Islam, inventing things. And of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made for this ummah ulama that they invented this ulum, this science of hadith and so on, by the will and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect the deen of Allah. And we talked about that before, more than one time. And how they compiled everything, even the fabricated and the lies about the Prophet ﷺ, they compiled that so that nobody comes later and says something or invents something. We're ready. We already have this compiled, so there's no room for any more or new invention or lies about the Prophet ﷺ. They even compiled, and there are books, volumes of books, about al-kadhabun wal-wadda'un, the liars. Those who lied about the Prophet ﷺ, their names are mentioned, one after the other, right, with their biographies. Right? And those who fabricated hadith. So the matter is very precise, and it's by all by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So some people, they might do it with good intentions. As one of these liars, his name was Nuh al-Jama. Right? This person used to make up a hadith about virtues of some surahs of the Quran. He would literally make up a hadith. He would say the Prophet ﷺ said, recite the surah because it's virtuous and this will happen to you if you do this. And people asked him, why would you do that? He would openly do that, and he would convey that to the people. He said, I saw people going to the fiqh of Imam Abi Hanifa and the books of this and that. He exactly said that. He saw him going to the books of knowledge more, that's how he thought. So I wanted for them to read more Quran. So he lied. He thinks that he's doing something good. Right? This is so evil what he's doing. Of course, and the ulama, they exposed him, and so on. There's many examples like this. So there are many righteous people, and that's why sometimes you would read the hadith, and you would feel, especially if you're trying to convey it to others, you want to convey it because it has a great meaning to it. But if it's not authentic, it's not permissible. Or at least you have to be honest and say that this is not authentic. So the matter is a very important one, especially for those who would give khutab or durus or things of that nature. We have to make sure if we say qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then we have to make sure that this is authentic. If we don't have the matter of knowledge to know, we have to take it, of course, from the people of knowledge, those who we trust their knowledge and their religion, that if they say that the hadith is authentic, then we say the hadith and we convey the hadith. But this is a responsibility. And now with the ease of methods of communications, people can send, things all over the earth with a click, right? A hadith, and a person receives a hadith. This is a beautiful hadith, a long hadith, and then he would send it to many people and so on without making sure that this is really the Prophet ﷺ said. And sometimes there are some statements in the middle of these things that can have even some means of shirk or associating partners with Allah. So we have to be careful. So this is a duty, and that's why we have to implement this in our life, not to lie about the Prophet ﷺ, and not just for those who fabricated it, also for those who would narrate it. As the hadith in Muslim and others, that man kadaba alayya, and whoever lies about the Prophet ﷺ, ومن حدث حديثا يرى أنه كذب فهو أحد الكاذبين أو فهو أحد الكاذبين. Whoever narrates a hadith from me, and it's known that it's a lie, he is one of the two liars or he's one of the liars. So it's not just the one that initiated it, it's also true for the ones that would continuously to convey it. So it's a very heavy responsibility. So لا تكذبوا عليه, do not lie about him. And then the warning, فإنه من كذب عليه, indeed those who would lie about me, فليلج النار, he should then enter the fire. فليلج النار, he should enter the fire. The statement is very strong. Not that he will enter the fire. No, فليلج النار, it's like an order, right? The فعل أمر. But of course it's not an order for him to enter the hellfire because of the severe warning that the punishment, he's more likely to receive it unless he repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just for the fact that he would lie does not make him a disbeliever, so that means a person might have the forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it shows how major sin that is for a person to lie about the Prophet ﷺ, because this is needed in the Kitab al-Ilm, in the book of knowledge, because that's what knowledge is. قال الله قال رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So the alim or the person of knowledge, or any one of us, should make sure that before we say it, we have to make sure that this is what the Prophet ﷺ said. And one of the interesting things in the chain of narrations of this hadith, Rib'i ibn Hirash, the one that narrated it from Ali ibn Abi Talib, this man, when you read his biography, he was famous by being very truthful, that never lies whatsoever. And it's an amazing thing to see that in his biography, and he's the one that narrator of the hadith, right? It's just a coincidence by the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To the extent of which he took upon himself that he would never lie, even if it's ta'reed or the words can mean more than one thing, he won't do it. He will be very direct and straightforward. He was at the time of Al-Hajjaj, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. He was, taking people, killing people, and killed Sa'id ibn Jubayr and others, killing some of the righteous ones. So he had two sons, this man, that Al-Hajjaj was after, to kill them. So the people around the Hajjaj, they were hiding, he could not find them. So the people around the Hajjaj, they told them, this man, he never lies, their father. Ask him, he will tell you where his sons are. So he brought them in, and he asked them, where's your sons? He said, they are in the house, at home. Right? And you know what the Hajjaj wants. The Hajjaj, this tyrant, because of the blessings of this person being a truthful one, he did not do anything to them because of how truthful this man is. He relieved them, right? Although he doesn't really, blood to him was something very easy to kill and so on. But it's the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that because of his honesty and truthfulness to that extent, it was the means for his sons to be saved. So just something to be mentioned here to show that the narrators of the hadith, when they would narrate something, they would apply to themselves first. Because lying, period, it's something that is haram, but it's worse if a person would lie about the Prophet ﷺ. The next hadith, he says, حدثنا أبو الوليد قال حدثنا شعبة عن جامع بن شداد عن عامر بن عبد الله ابن الزبير عن أبيه. قلت للزبير إني لأسمعك تحدث زبير بن عوام رضي الله عنه. He said, I said to him, I never hear you إني لأسمعك تحدث عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كما يحدث فلان وفلان. He said, I don't hear you narrating hadith from the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم as so and so he do, saying hadith of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. قال, then he said, أما إني لم أفارق ولكن سمعت يقول. He said, as for me, I never departed away from the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. I was always with him. This is a great blessing. Zubayr ibn Awam was one of the 10 people that the Prophet ﷺ told them that they are among the people of Jannah. He said, but I heard the Prophet ﷺ saying, من كذب علي فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. Whoever lie about me, فليتبوأ. This is another word. Instead of فليلد إلى النار, or enter the fire here, فليتبوأ. He should prepare himself a position, مقعده من النار. He should prepare for a position for himself in the hellfire. Because of this hadith, he would speak less. He would narrate less from the Prophet ﷺ, out of the fear that he might say something that is not correct. It doesn't mean that those who narrated many hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, like Abu Hurairah and others, they were doing something wrong. And at the same time, the ulama, even the early generations of Islam, if they see someone already conveying the message, they were not competing with one another to do it. Whether it's fatwa, whether it's matters of ilm and so on, they would leave it for others because it's a heavy responsibility. Especially with matters of fatwa, when someone would already be known that he is answering people. It's not a situation for people to compete with one another. So the same thing with matters of knowledge. They would push that away to others because it's a heavy responsibility. But if a person doesn't have it, or the community doesn't have it, then somebody has to be in charge of it. Which always brings the subject, matters of khutbah, right? This place the minbar for a person to stand on the minbar and to give khutbah. This is the position of who? Of the Prophet ﷺ. And whoever takes this minbar, he has to be the best of this ummah, of the communities that follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ. Heavy responsibility. But this is an obligation. People have to pray Jummah. So what if, if everybody would claim that I don't have this, which we all don't have it, right? But somebody has to lead the salah, right? So then the responsibility becomes mandatory if it's given. But it's not something that a person would seek. It's something to be given to the most knowledgeable, the one that has the means, and because of the many places and so on, the person has to be patient. And once it's given, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will aid the person, but not to run away from it and let someone else would take the position and convey lies and deviations to the people, right? So the matter has to be understood with this perspective. So again, the hadith, من كذب علي فليتبوأ مقعده من النار, whoever lies about me, he should prepare for himself a position in hellfire. Another narration to the same hadith says حدثنا أبو معمر قال حدثنا عبد الوارث عن عبد العزيز قال أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه used to be a servant to the Prophet ﷺ since he was 10 years old, and he served the Prophet ﷺ for 10 years. He served the Prophet ﷺ for 10 years since he was young, and he lived long by the blessings of the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. So he said رضي الله عنه إنه يمنعني أن أحدثكم حديثا كثيرا أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من تعمد علي كذبا فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. The same thing as Zubayr bin Awam رضي الله عنه he said what prevents me إنه لا يمنعني, what prevents me from أحدثكم, that I would say to you, narrate to you hadith of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام كثيرا, a lot of it, although Anas رضي الله عنه narrated many hadith, but he would not say a lot of it. Why? Because he heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم saying whoever intentionally من تعمد, whoever intentionally علي كذبا, lie about me, فليتبوأ مقعده من النار, he should prepare for himself a position in the hellfire. So there's levels here. Whoever intentionally do it, this is definitely a major sin. And also the one that would say a lie about the Prophet ﷺ, but not intentionally, is still subjected to the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he has to make sure that he is doing it the right way. Ibn Hibban, rahimahullah, in his book of the Matrukeen and so on, those who are neglected in matters of hadith, he mentioned this. The ulama of the hadith, that this is mandatory for anyone to say the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. You have to make sure that it's authentic. Otherwise, you are subjected to the warnings mentioned in these hadith. Of course, if you narrate a hadith, of course, you have to have the knowledge, because it's not just about the ayah, the hadith, it's what the meanings of it and what's the implications of it. And that's why we have to refer to the people of knowledge. We're not the ones that will open the books and take the evidences and narrated it and think that we have knowledge this way. We have to refer to the people of knowledge. So when we refer to the people of knowledge and we mention something, whether it's a hadith or so on, then we have to make sure that it's authentic. That's why, for example, any hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, you can say it, no problem, no doubt that it's authentic by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he says, another narration, and he mentioned many narrations here to the same hadith, because the subject is an important one. This hadith, by the way, is mutawatir. Mutawatir is the highest level of authenticity. Whoever says that this hadith is not authentic, he becomes a disbeliever. Why? Because it's mutawatir. Mutawatir means what? Narrated by so many that there's no way they can get together and make up something, right? It's like, for example, someone would say there's a country called, Brazil. If anyone, I'm sorry if I mentioned this country, I'm not sure, it just came into my mind, because I've never been there. So if nobody ever been there, you don't need to say what's your evidence there's a country called this. This is something mutawatir, something that is many people have been there, they know that. So this hadith is mutawatir, has been narrated by 70 or 100 of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, that hadith. So he mentioned it with different narrations to make sure that the subject is clear, because this is the amana, the trust. If this is sound and it's done in the right way, then we save one's religion. قال حدثنا مكي بن إبراهيم قال حدثنا يزيد بن أبي عبيد عن سلمة قال سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, I heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, he said, من يقل علي ما لم أقل فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. Different words. من يقل علي, whoever says about me ما لم أقل, what I didn't say, فليتبوأ مقعده من النار, then he should prepare himself for a position in hellfire. If he says قال, this is what it means, من يقل. If you say قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, if the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم didn't say it, then this is the severe one, right? So if we're not sure, then we have to make sure, right? And we have to narrate what is authentic. The next hadith, he says حدثنا موسى قال حدثنا أبو عوانة عن أبي حصين عن أبي صالح عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال تسموا باسمي, which means you can take my name as your name. تسموا باسمي, name your children with my name, to name your child Muhammad. This is a good thing. وَلَا تَكْتَنُوا بِكُنْيَتِي, but do not take my kunya. The kunya of the Prophet ﷺ, which is Abu Qasim. Right? Do not give yourself this kunya. Some said this was specifically at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. At his time, the Prophet ﷺ had forbade them from taking his kunya, so the matter is not confused. But the name, no problem. But to call your child or oneself Muhammad, this is definitely a good thing. But one of the weak hadith, right? It's a weak hadith. The hadith that says, أحب الأسماء إلى الله وعبد ومحمد. This is a weak hadith, by the way. Right? Many people they think it's an authentic hadith, which says that the most beloved deeds to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ma'ubid, what is abd, something, or Muhammad, if it's Muhammad, Ahmad. This is, as a hadith, is a weak hadith. Right? But there is the authentic hadith, أحب الأسماء إلى الله Abdullah wa Abdul Rahman. The most beloved names to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Abdullah and Abdul Rahman. This is an authentic hadith. And to name your child with the names of the prophets, especially the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, definitely it's a good thing, right? No doubt. And this is the hadith, tasamma bismi, name or use my name as your names. وَلَا تَكْتَنُوا بِكُنْيَتِي, and do not use my kunya. And the kunya is the nickname, or Abu something. And it also shows that from the etiquettes, and it should not be only the etiquettes of the Arab at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. This is something that Muslims adopted also, that we get to have kunyas, right? So for oneself and for your children, right? So one of the good things in upbringing our children, give them kunyas when they're young. So your child, his name is Ahmad or Muhammad or anything, choose a kunya for him. Abu Khalid, Abu Muhammad, Abu Ahmad, even if he doesn't have children, right? But this is something that gives him some identity or some manhood. And the same thing for the girls. And we said that before, the hadith that many people, they use it and they twist the meanings of it to fulfill their desires. When the Prophet ﷺ had a piece of cloth and he gave it to Khalid, right? And Khalid came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ gave her the piece of cloth. And she was so happy. And this was the Sahaba, they were sitting, and Khalid came. People will read the hadith, Khalid comes in, that means women can come like that in the masjid and walk, and the Prophet ﷺ, Khalid was a 4-year-old girl, right? But they call her Khalid, right? Not with her direct name, to show that this kunya thing was something, them always, all the time, they would say it out of respect, and even to the children. Then he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, the hadith continues, وَمَنْ رَآنِي فِي الْمَنَامِ فَقَدْ رَآنِي. And whoever sees me فِي الْمَنَامِ, while sleeping, فَقَدْ رَآنِي, that means he had seen me. فَإِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَا يَتَمَثَّلُ فِي صُورَتِي, because indeed the shaitan, he does not, لا يتمثل, does not resemble me, or does not take my image, فِي صُورَتِي. He does not take my image. The shaitan does not take the image of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَمَنْ كَذَبَ عَلَيَّ مُتَعَمِّدًا فَلْيَتَبَوَّأْ مَقْعَدَهُ مِنَ النَّارِ. And whoever lies about me, متعمدا, intentionally, he should prepare a position for himself in the hellfire. The issue of the dream, as we heard, this is, as the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever saw me in the dream, and while he's sleeping, he had indeed seen me. Why? Because the shaitan would not take the image of the Prophet ﷺ. But we have to be careful with just a few points. Shaitan can take another image and convince you when you're sleeping that this is the Prophet ﷺ. Right? The hadith says, Shaitan does not take my image. So that means if you saw the Prophet ﷺ in your dream, it has to be the image of the Prophet ﷺ, not someone else. Right? Shaitan can come into some, an image that it's not the Prophet ﷺ, someone else. And he will tell you that I am Muhammad, and I'm telling you this and that. You understand? But Shaitan would never come into the image of the Prophet ﷺ. That's why they always, they say, when someone would say, I saw the Prophet ﷺ in my dream, they would say, how did he look like? So if he would describe the same way the Prophet ﷺ was described, then this is true. If not, then it's not. And Shaitan can convince the person after he wakes up that he saw something when he didn't see. So, and why? Because after all, we cannot, and this is consensus among all the ulama, you cannot build an action based on a dream, even if it's the Prophet ﷺ, because the deen has been completed. So if someone comes and claims, I saw the Prophet ﷺ and he told me no Salatul Isha tonight, for example, right? no Isha for tonight because I just saw him in my dream. Should we say yes, the Prophet ﷺ said, Shaitan does not resemble me? And we'll tell him that you are either lying or you're just hallucinating, right? Because the deen is completed. So there's no actions. But the Prophet ﷺ comes into the dream of the people with the mubashirat, with the glad tidings to give them strength, to warn them, yes, and so on, but not to add anything in the religion. The religion has been completed. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام. Then he says after that another chapter, باب كتابة العلم, chapter of writing العلم. This is one of the etiquettes, is to write the knowledge. And writing the knowledge, it's something that's from the important etiquettes, otherwise the knowledge goes away. He says حدثنا محمد بن سلام قال أخبرنا وكيع عن سفيان عن مطرف عن الشعبي عن أبي جحيفة قال قلت لعلي, I said to علي رضي الله عنه, هل عندكم كتاب? Do you have a book? A book, something that you wrote things in. قال لا إلا كتاب الله. He said no, except the book of Allah. أو فهم أعطيه رجل مسلم, or فهم, understanding that a Muslim man was given. أو ما في هذه الصحيفة, or what's in this صحيفة, in this paper or in this book. قال قلت فما في هذه الصحيفة. I said to him, what's in this صحيفة, in this book? قال العقل وفكاك الأسير ولا يقتل مسلم بكافر. He said العقل. What's العقل is not intelligence, it's not mind. العقل is the rulings referring to the diya. When someone killed someone, right? The blood money, if it's correct to say it, right? Because this is the right of the family of the killed one. They can either ask for the capital punishment or they can ask for the blood money and the killer will be relieved, right? And this is unique in the deen of Islam. So the killer, he has a way out. If the whole family, al-asaba, those who are related to the deceased or the one that is killed, not all of them, but the asabat only, or the ones that have no female in between in the relationship, if they all agree to forgive, then he is to be forgiven. Till the last moment even. And that's why even it's been the practice that whenever the person is to be executed, the killer, after the matter has been established on him, the people of knowledge or so on, they would try with the families to forgive, right? So to spare his life. And many times it happens in the last moment, and the person, his life is spared. So they have the right. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave that right to the family of the deceased, and they would get instead the diya, which is the blood money, which is something also specific. So this is what al-aql here means. وَفَكَاكُ الْأَسِيرِ, and the ruling of saving the captured in the war. And what's the ruling of this? وَلَا يُقْتَلْ مُسْلِمٌ بِكَافِرٍ, and a Muslim should not be killed by a kafir, by a disbeliever. And this has differences of opinions because of other hadith within the sunnah of the Prophet. So the point here is that Ali radiallahu anhu, he had something written. And that's an evidence also that they used to write things that the Prophet ﷺ did and say at his time. And you would hear more of this, right? So this is without a doubt used to happen at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. They did not just write the Quran, but they wrote also the hadith and the actions of the Prophet ﷺ, one of which is what Ali radiallahu anhu wrote. And if you have any questions, inshallah, we'll leave them at the end. He says, حدثنا أبو نعيم الفضل بن دكين قال حدثنا شيبان عن يحيى عن أبي سلمة عن أبي هريرة, that Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه, أن خزاعة قتلوا رجلا من بني ليث, that خزاعة, the tribe of خزاعة, they killed a man from Bani Layth. Of course, not the whole tribe, right? One of the people from خزاعة, he killed a man from Bani Layth, from another tribe, it's called Bani Layth. عام فتح مكة بقتيل منهم قتلوا. They killed them as a revenge for someone that the other tribe had killed from them. So it was a revenge. فأخبر بذلك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم was informed about this. فركب راحلته فخطب فقال. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم got onto his راحلة, onto his camel, and he gave a khutbah. He thought to address the people. And فقال إن الله حبس عن مكة القتل أو الفيل. He said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, habas means like you put someone in captive, deprived or stopped from Mecca al-Qatl. killing. Mecca is not permissible for anybody to kill anyone in Mecca. Or the narrator, he said, I will feed. He was not sure whether the Prophet ﷺ said the elephant or al-qatl or killing. Because the field, also the elephant, right, was deprived from going into the Mecca, as the story of Abraha and so on. شك أبو عبد الله وسلط عليهم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم والمؤمنين. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam on the disbelievers of Mecca on the day of Fath Mecca, when Mecca was liberated, only for 1 hour, as we mentioned the hadith before. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the believers, only for 1 hour they had this permissible for them only, and Mecca went back to the same ruling, which is forbidden for any bloodshed and so on, even if it's to be justified, right? And that's why we said it has to be outside of Mecca. ألا وإنها لم تحل لأحد قبلي ولم تحل لأحد بعدي. He said the Prophet ﷺ, Mecca is not halal for people to dispute or have dispute in it or to shed blood in Mecca to anyone before me or anyone after me. ألا وإنها حلت لي ساعة من نهار. Indeed, it was made halal for me only 1 hour during the day. ألا وإنها ساعتي هذه حرام. Indeed, this hour is haram. This hour is haram, that means the matter is over. It is not permissible for anyone to shed blood in Mecca because this is baladun haram. لا يقتل شوكها. In the hadith you mentioned it before, it is not permissible to cut the trees in Mecca and even the thorns in it. ولا يعضد شجرها, not to uproot the trees in it. ولا تلتقط ساقطتها إلا لمنشد, and not to take the luqata. We mentioned that before the last time. The luqata, anything you found on the ground in Mecca, it is not permissible for you to take it for yourself. Elsewhere, if it's not something of value, you can take it for yourself. If it's for a value, you have to keep it for a year and advertise for it till the owner comes. If it doesn't come after a year, it becomes for you. For Mecca, no. It is not permissible to pick it up unless إِلَّا لِمُنْشِدٍ, unless you would take it to say where is the owner, right? So that you can give it to the owner but not for oneself. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, فَمَنْ قُتِلَ فَهُوَ بِخَيْرِ النَّظَرَيْنِ. Whoever is killed, then he has the choice of the best of two things. إِمَّا أَنْ يُعْقَبْ, either to take the blood money, وَإِمَّا أَنْ يُقَادَ أَهْلُ الْقَتِيلِ, or then the capital punishment will be on the killer, that means he is to be killed. فَجَاءَ رَجُلٌ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْيَمَنِ, as the Prophet, when the Prophet ﷺ said that, so the people of Khuza'ah, when they killed, because someone killed one from them, what should have they done? If someone killed one of them, then either to accept the blood money or they ask for al-qisas or for the revenge. According to the authorities, of course, of those who are in charge of Mecca, not to be left for the people, right, that they go after one another, otherwise it becomes chaos. And that's why if someone, even the most dearest person to oneself is killed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all from this. It's not permissible for the people to take matters on their own hands and to seek revenge. But it has to be done in the, according to those who have authority. And the people, those who have authority, if they don't do anything, then the person has to be patient and seek rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it's still not permissible. So a man came from Ahl Yemen, from Yemen, فَقَالَ اكْتُبْ لِي يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. He said, O Prophet of Allah, write for me. Right, that this is why the hadith is here. So he asked the Prophet ﷺ to write for him. فَقَالَ اكْتُبُ لِأَبِي فُلَانٍ. He said the Prophet ﷺ write this to the Abi Fulan, to this man. Then فَقَالَ رَجُلٌ, another man from Quraysh, من Quraysh, he said إِلَّا الْإِذْخِرْ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّا نَجْعَلُهُ فِي بُيُوتِنَا وَقُبُورِنَا. When the Prophet ﷺ told them that the trees and the thorns is not to be taken off from Mecca, a man from Quraysh, he said, O Prophet of Allah, accept the idkhir. Do not, because the idkhir, we keep it in our homes and we put it on our graves. We can please take it from the ground. What is an idkhir? The closest thing to an idkhir is, they call it lemongrass. I don't know if you know the lemongrass. It has a strong smell. So it is also from the Sunnah, if you have it, right? They used to put it on the graves, right? And also on the people when they're washing and so on, because it has a strong smell. And the Prophet, they used to use it for washing al-mani, right? The seminal fluid from the clothes, they would use al-idkhir, right? This lemongrass. And Aisha, she said that they used to use that when they would wash al-mani, with the seminal fluid from the clothes. So the man said, al-idkhir, we use it, O Prophet of Allah. We need to pick it from the ground, so let us have it. So the Prophet ﷺ said, إِلَّا الْإِدْخِرِ. He said, except the idkhir. So the lemongrass is the only thing that people can cut from the ground of Mecca. قال أبو عبد الله Bukhari رحمه الله, he said, يقال بالقاف. فقيل لأبي عبد الله أي شيء كتب له؟ قال كتب له هذه الخطبة. He said what was written to this man when he came and asked the Prophet ﷺ. He said the Prophet ﷺ wrote for him this khutbah. The khutbah that the Prophet ﷺ, this hadith that we heard, the man of the people of Yemen, he wanted for it to be written. So the Prophet ﷺ ordered for it to be written. Right? So kitabatul ilm, to write matters of knowledge. Of course, khutbatul Jumu'ah is not to be written. Right? A person should be listening in the khutbah and not busy writing. But other things, of course, this is definitely a good thing. Some of the settings of knowledge, the people of knowledge, some of them, they would not allow anyone to sit unless they would write to make sure that the matter is not misunderstood or the knowledge is not wrong. The next hadith in the chapter, he says, حدثنا علي بن عبد الله قال حدثنا سفيان قال حدثنا عمرو قال أخبرني وهب بن المنبه عن أخيه قال سمعت أبا هريرة رضي الله عنه يقول, Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه, he said, ما من أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أحد أكثر حديثا عنه مني إلا ما كان من عبد الله بن عمرو فإنه كان يكتب ولا أكتب. تبعه معمر عن همام عن أبي بكر. He said there is no one from أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, from the companions of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, anyone that is more hadith, that he would have the hadith of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم more than me. Abu Hurairah is saying that because he heard many hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He was with the Prophet ﷺ all the time. He did not have any money, no market or anything. So he would stay with the Prophet ﷺ, hearing his hadith, watching his actions. So no one from the companions of the Prophet ﷺ had more hadith than me. إلا ما كان من عبد الله بن عمرو, except Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As رضي الله عنهما فإنه كان يكتب ولا أكتب. He used to write and I didn't used to write. So Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As used to write the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which is again a clear evidence that some of them used to write the hadith. Although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them the ability to retain the information so much, this was given to these people by an amazing thing. And we mentioned some of the examples like that as a way to save the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should always remember this hadith, because when people talk about the sunnah, they think this is something that came 200 years or 100 years after the Prophet ﷺ, at the time of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. No, it was written before that. But it was scattered with people, right? So it was written by some of the companions of the Prophet. The next hadith, قال حدثنا يحيى ابن سليمان قال حدثني ابن وهب قال أخبرني يونس عن ابن شهاب عن عبيد الله بن عبد الله عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما, he said, قال لما اشتد بالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وجعه, when the pain of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم became severe, meaning the last sickness of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام before he died عليه الصلاة والسلام, قال ائتوني بكتاب أكتب لكم كتابا لا تضلوا بعد. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم told them, get me a book, something to write on, that I would write for you something that you would never be deviated after it. قال عمر رضي الله عنه, he said, إن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم غلبه الوجع. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, the pain overpowered him. وعندنا كتاب الله حسبنا, and we have the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is sufficient for us. He felt bad for the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام that he's going through this, and he's asking the people to bring the book or something to write on, and he would write, and he would tell them and so on. So he didn't want to cause more pain for the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. فاختلفوا وكثر اللغط. So they had differences, they had an argument with one another, and the voice was raised. قال قوموا عني. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم told them, قوموا عني means go away from me, everybody leave. ولا ينبغي عندي التنازع. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, it is not permissible for people to differ among themselves in my presence. فخرج ابن عباس يقول, ابن عباس رضي الله عنه, he went out saying, إن الرزية كل الرزية ما حال بين رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وبين كتابه. He said, إن الرزية is the heavy calamity, right? Heavy thing falls. That it's a calamity. What a calamity? What حال بين رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وبين كتابه? What came in between the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم and his book, right? That this, he wished that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم would have told them to write what they would make them not deviated after him. What is this? There is another hadith in Muslim, by the way, where the Prophet ﷺ, in his deathbed, when he ordered for something to be written, and this was about Abu Bakr to be the Khalifa of the Muslims. Right? They said it's about those who were the one that will be the Khalifa after him, so that the matter there's no dispute. Or the Khulafa Arba'a, because as you see, this is split the Ummah, right? Because of who is to be the Khalifa. And some said the Prophet ﷺ, as we know, when a person reads this hadith, he would say that, I wish the Prophet ﷺ had said it, so the matter is finished and it's done, there's no dispute. The qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is otherwise, and the deen is completed, and it's meant to be a fitna, right? Because nobody ever said that this life is about, matter of ease and peace and all of these things. We are on a test. So part of the fitna is those who would follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ and who would not. So this was meant, and some even said in the explanation of this, that the Prophet ﷺ, if this was a matter that he has to do it, he would have still ﷺ told them, get it and we will write it, because this is wahy. Revelation from Allah, it is not permissible for the Prophet ﷺ to hold it back. But as if the Prophet ﷺ it was revealed to him not to do it. And this from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a test for this ummah, and the ummah was split as a result of this. But the Prophet ﷺ clearly said, as it's mentioned in Hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, mentioned the name of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, not in an indirect way, in a direct way. So the matter was clear, and the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, they heard it. Plus, this is the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's why the order is Abu Bakr, then Umar, then Uthman, then Ali radiallahu anhu. But the point of the hadith here is the Prophet ﷺ asked for something to be written. Then he says, Ballwin wal-'idhati bil-layl. The chapter of al-'ilm, knowledge, and al-'idha, admonishing and reminders, bil-layl, during the night. That this is something permissible, it's okay, and so on. He says, حدثنا صدقة أخبرنا ابن عيينة عن معمر عن الزهري عن هند عن أم سلمة وعمر ويحيى بن سعيد عن الزهري عن هند عن أم سلمة. Two chain of narrations that end by Salama رضي الله عنها. She said, قالت استيقظ النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات ليلة فقال. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم woke up one night during the night and he said, فقال سبحان الله ماذا أنزل الليلة من الفتن. He said, Subhanallah, what has been brought down tonight from al-fitan. Fitan had came down tonight. وماذا فتح من الخزائن. And what treasures have been opened also that was revealed to him عليه الصلاة والسلام. And then he said, أيقظوا صواحبات الحجر, which means wake up the صواحبات, the owners of the rooms, the females. He's referring to his wives. Wake up the women, those who are sleeping, his wives. فَرُبَّ كَاسِيَةٍ فِي الدُّنْيَا عَالِيَةٍ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. فَرُبَّ is mentioned to refer to a big number. So maybe there's a lot of people. كَاسِيَةٍ فِي الدُّنْيا, she is covered in this world. عَالِيَةٍ فِي الْآخِرَةِ, naked in the hereafter. What does that mean? Prophet ﷺ, he woke up and he said, Subhanallah, how many fitan came down. Prophet ﷺ was seen to him all the fitan that would afflict this ummah. And he mentioned it in many hadith. And he saw mawaqi' al-fitan, he saw the spots where the fitan will be. And he informed the Sahaba radiallahu anhu by their names and what's going to happen to them. Right? And the fitan that would happen till the day of judgment. And he said many things to the companions radiallahu anhu. So as a result of that, and what also the treasures of this materialistic things that will come to this ummah, And he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that the fitna of this ummah is in al-mal or wealth. Fitna, whether it's good or evil, because it can be used either way. So as a result of this, and that the fitna is something that is inevitable, it has to happen. So what to do with the fitna? And this hadith is a very important one. When it comes to our actions, we talk about fitna and tribulations and so on. How to protect ourselves from it? Al-qidu sawahibati hujr. Wake up those who are sleeping at night. To do what? To be awake or to make salat? To make salat. To salatul layl, the night prayer. This is the order of the Prophet ﷺ for a person to be saved from the fitan, is to do the night prayer, and to do the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very physically clear cure and protection from all means of fitan. And as he said ﷺ, ibadatun fil heart, kahijratin ilayk, ibadah, worship at times of al-heart, as it's explained by the Prophet ﷺ, too much killing. And it also means literally when things are confusing. Times of fitan and there's so much tribulations, to make ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at these times is like making hijrah to the Prophet ﷺ. So one of the means to protect oneself from the fitan, and as we said before, fitan is not necessarily killing and loss of wealth and so on. The fitna is when the person is deviated from the truth as a result of the tribulations and he dies as a disbeliever or a deviant. That's the real fitna. But if a person loses wealth or something harms him, and he's steadfast on the truth and he ends up entering Jannah, he will not be sad or miserable whatsoever. So the fitna is about things take people from the Salat al-Mustaqim.